everybody. It feels kind of weird to post this on here of all places, but I've seen people do similar things. So I was thinking maybe somebody here could make sense of all of this. I'm currently going to college for a law enforcement degree, and a big part of that is the opportunity to intern places, local police stations and that sort of thing. Well, I recently started working at a branch for the government agency that I would like to keep nameless, just for the sake of privacy. I'm not trusted with a whole lot of security access, being an unpaid lackey and all. I generally just get coffee or fill out simple paperwork that the big dogs can't give two shits about. But about a week ago, one of the guys who's a few levels of importance above me, who I'll refer to as Morris, began to trust me with getting files and evidence from a locked room that normally requires pretty high clearance. A smart move on Morris's part, right? I really don't see it as a big deal. I'm a very well-behaved guy. Not a spot on my record and not even a parking ticket. Morris figured that a good guy like me wouldn't do anything stupid. And plus, it's a pretty low priority evidence room. It's more stuff that dealt with child abuse cases, assault, domestic abuse, and stuff like that. Not extremely dangerous or confidential stuff, but certainly not the lowest level of importance, if that makes sense. Well, yesterday Morris sends me to go grab a file about a wife who had beat her husband or something like that. As I was going, I heard a guy a few levels of importance above Morris, talking to him about a very important file that was missing. I had no idea what he had said at the time, but now I know he said the words, Vitriol S16. It immediately sounds familiar to me, but I disregard it. I probably heard Morris mention it a while ago or something. Who cares anyways? So I get to the file room and in there is another worker, about the same level of importance as Morris. I'll call this guy Mort. Well, Mort's always been a little bit off. He's only about 10 years older than me, but he still rocks a heavy wool trench coat and a middle part in his hair like he's 40. He seems like the kind of guy who plays Magic the Gathering and EVE Online in his free time, and probably gets way too serious about it. Anyway, he's in there and he's sort of frantic looking. Eyes shifting, looking out at the couple metal tables in the room, frantically shuffling through the files in the cabinets. When I enter and he hears the doors close, his head snaps towards me. SMS, right? He says, of course with my real name. Yeah, I say. He walks up to me quickly. I see now that he's holding a manila envelope with the words confidential stamped over it. Something told me that it was confidential. Anyway, he gets to me and he pushes the envelope in my chest. You need to take this, alright buddy? He says. His voice is quivering but he puts on a smile, just to reassure me I guess. What is it? I asked, not totally expecting an answer. No questions. Just tuck it under your shirt, okay? Don't let anybody see that you have it. Get whatever you came in here for and get to where you need to go. And then say you're not feeling well and go home. Okay? Take it and keep it at home, not here. Now I'm freaking out a little bit here. This seems like the shit that comes straight out of a movie, where me, the protagonist, eventually gets hunted by FBI agents. But just to get him away from me, I quickly nod and I stick it in my waistband of my pants, and then I tuck my shirt over it. Luckily for me, I was wearing a thick vest that day, so it didn't look too odd. Mort smiled and then nodded, and then he left quickly. I was a little bit shaken, but I just resolved to give the file to Morris and explain what happened and be done with it. So, I grabbed the file that Morris had sent me in there for the first place and I started back. But as I was going back, I saw a bunch of officers who worked at the building handcuffing Mort and taking him out. I was right by him as he was escorted out, but he didn't so much as glance at me. And this should make it all the more clear that I should hand over the file that Mort had gave me, right? I should tell Morris about it, right? I didn't. Beyond all reason, I didn't. I'm a very rational person. I always look at things from all ways, and consider every outcome, all that stuff. But for some reason, I just gave Morris the file that he had asked for, and I said that I wasn't feeling great. And Morris suggested that I go home. Fuck, no way out now. I get home and I set the file down on my table. I resolved to open it up later in the evening, but I think I was really just too terrified to look at it. This has to be why Mort had gotten arrested, right? For taking this file when he probably had no clearance to. Why the hell did I have it then? God dang it, I'm already in too deep. At about 11 p.m. or so yesterday, I finally gathered up the courage to open up the envelope. I hadn't realized it, but it was one of those heavily padded ones, so it was decently cushy. Inside was a piece of paper, 2 photographs, and an iPod. At the top of the paper in bold, italicized letters was Vitriol S16. So this was what that guy was looking for. I thought to myself, crap, now I have it. The paper had a few dates ranging from 2011 to 2014. They weren't labeled at all. They just said June 4th, 2011, or May 23rd, 2012. At the bottom of the page, handwritten was, change the password on the iPad. More made it way too freaking obvious. One photograph was of a man. It was odd though. It was him walking down the street, seemingly knowing that he was being photographed. He had short black hair, good posture, and a full face. Not to say that he was fat, but he was certainly healthy. The second photograph was of the same guy, but I could hardly tell at first. It was a mugshot. He had shoulder-length, greasy hair, a gaunt, almost yellowish skin, like longtime smokers, I guess, and his face was very gaunt and thin. He looked exhausted. Finally, I turned my attention to the iPod. It was an iPod Touch, I'm not sure what gen, not really important. I turned it on and I was prompted to put in a 4-digit password. Having seen the note about changing the password because it was obvious, I thought, what would be obvious? After a moment, I typed in VS16, and click, I was in. It was clearly jailbroken. All the default apps are gone. Hell, everything was gone. Except one app, voice memos. It might be a default, I don't know. I opened it up and it had a ton of audio files, all labeled with dates. After looking at them, I noticed a couple of them coincided with dates on the piece of paper, but not all of them. I haven't listened to any of them yet, and to be honest, I'm not sure if I'm going to. I'm thinking that if I listen to them, I'll be in way too deep. If I just hand over this stuff to Morris now, maybe I won't get in as much trouble. On the other hand though, I think I should listen to them. Mort clearly wanted this stuff to be public, don't you think? He lost his job and he went to jail over this. And while he didn't seem all the way there in his head, he wouldn't throw away his career for nothing. I don't know. Plus Vitriol S16 sounds very familiar to me, but I just can't put my finger on where I'd heard it before. If there's any interest, I'll listen to the audio files and maybe transcribe them on here. Anyways, I worked for a few hours today, so I was a little bit worried that people would know what I did. When I got to work almost right away, Morris spoke to me and said that Mort had used his card to go into the evidence room a few minutes before I did. Morris then asked if Mort had spoken to me. Here is where I definitely should have spoken up, to tell Morris what had happened. Screw my job, I should have been honest, but I wasn't. I told Morris that I had gotten into the room right as Mort was leaving. I don't know why I lied, that's just not something that I do. Maybe I just wanted to keep my job, I don't know. The point is, I still have the iPod and the documents, and as far as I know, I'm not a suspect. I got home around an hour ago, and I decided to listen to the audio file from the iPod. It seems to have been an audio journal from a guy named Jerry Randall. I found his name on the back of the mugshot, and I hadn't noticed it before. I haven't listened to all of them, only the first 7. They're pretty mundane to start, just Jerry talking about his life. And they're spaced over a few months at a time. It seems like Jerry wasn't very invested in the journal since he didn't update it very often. It's also weird that the journal entries don't start with 1. The first entry is 42, but everyone after that seems to be the next one numerically. Maybe the ones before just weren't relevant. I debated for a long time about whether I should post the transcriptions, partly because I could get in trouble, and partly because I would have to type them all out. But I decided to do that anyway. They're pretty weird and I would like some insight if you guys can provide that. Clearly, this is important somehow and I feel like that I wouldn't be able to deal with it myself. So, here's what I listened to so far. I'm only going to listen to a few at a time so I don't get overwhelmed or whatever. Entry 42, June 4th, 2011. Hey journal, Jerry signing on. Been a while since we talked. Been real busy with work and things. And hey, guess what? Maria said yes. We're getting married. I'm not sure when yet, but it's amazing. I never thought that a girl that I had met in a coffee shop would ever become my fiancé. It's a pretty crazy feeling. I don't have much else to say for now. I'm still working at the office. I got promoted to an assistant manager. But that doesn't really mean much other than a nameplate on my desk, and a 1% pay raise. But hey, every little bit helps. Especially since I got a wedding to save up for now. Entry 43, June 27th, 2011. Things have been weird lately. Maria and I have been fighting a lot. But I'm sure that's just because we're both stressed and nervous. She just lost her job at Petco and we've been struggling a little bit since, but we can make it. I know it. I love her and it'll work out. Entry 44, June 13th, 2011. Guess what? Maria and I are going to have a baby. Yeah, I know. Born out of wedlock is a bastard. I hear you, Mom. But I don't care. We're gonna have a freaking baby. I couldn't be happier. I'm engaged to the love of my life. I'm going to be a father. Nothing can bring me down. Entry 45, November 16th, 2011. Nothing to report, just figured I'd drop in and say hello. Maria and I are still doing great. The baby's healthy and my job is going well. Maria's finally gotten an interview at a local newspaper printing place, so let's hope that works out. Entry 46, January 19th, 2012. Maria and I are back fighting again, and it's worse than ever, and I don't know why. She's just pissed at me every moment of the day. I just don't get it. Oh well, I love her and she loves me. We'll get through this. Entry 47, March 16th, 2012. I had the most messed up dream last night. I woke up in my room from when I was growing up, not the one at my house that I live in with Maria. I didn't feel like anything was off though. I stood up to get a glass of water or something and then I left my room. Except when I left my room, I wasn't out in the hallway of my old house. I was on a main street in my old town. It was freaky, and I immediately got a chill. It was night and the streetlights were dim and flickering. I glanced around and everything just felt off. I looked down the street and I saw this really tall figure. He was too far away to make out very well, but he stood like 7 or 8 feet tall. I blinked, trying to get a better look, but when I opened my eyes, he was closer. Like several yards closer and slightly on my left. I thought that it must have been a trick of the light, so I blinked again. And now he was closer and on the right side of the street. Now I was getting scared and I blinked again, just trying to get him to disappear. Each time I blinked though, he just kept getting closer. Finally, he was maybe about 10 feet away from me, and I could see him now. He was definitely 7 or 8 feet tall. His skin was really pale and gray and his black hair was really long, like shoulder length and greasy as hell. He wore this really long black trench coat that looked like it was made out of wool, not that nylon stuff or whatever. I kept my eyes wide open, refusing to blink again to let him get closer, but he walked forward anyway. When he got close to me, he grabbed my face and he turned it up, so I was looking straight into his eyes. And then he opened his mouth, but it wasn't a normal mouth, right? Instead of going across below his nose, it went up and down, his teeth parallel with his nose. You get what I mean. Anyway, he opened his mouth and he started screaming this really high-pitched scream. I think my ears started bleeding. He then started vomiting this chunky yellow stuff into my mouth, which I guess was open wide in terror. The stuff smelled like rotten eggs and I really wanted to puke, but I couldn't. He just kept vomiting and vomiting it down my throat and way into my stomach. From there, everything went black. I'm not sure what happened next, but I woke up on the street on my back. The guy was nowhere to be seen and I got up shakily. I took a few steps down the main street and then I woke up for real. I've had nightmares before, but never one so vivid, realistic. I've been on edge all day. I snapped at Maria more than once. I can't do that. Our baby is due any day now and she doesn't need any more stress. Oh well, I'll just take it easy for a few days and I'll be good. Entry 48, April 18th, 2012. He was born today. We named him Benjamin Carter Randall. He's so beautiful and I'm happier than I can even begin to say. It's crazy. I should get back to Maria. She's still in the hospital. I just went home to grab a few things, and I figured that I would say hi. Gotta go. Wow. And that's all of them that I've listened to so far. They take a long time to write out because Jerry talks a lot faster than I type. So I have to go back and re-listen to parts a lot. But yeah, weird shit. It sounds like the dream that he had isn't unlike what a few people in that post I linked above described. A tall guy, yellow vomit, and smells like rotten eggs. I'm probably going to listen to a few more audio files tonight, but I don't imagine I'll feel like typing them up tonight. You can probably look for them tomorrow if I'm not arrested by then. I went to work again today, fully expecting to get caught. A few of the higher-ups today sat us down and explained that a very important, confidential file was missing. And while they're not currently suspecting it to have been stolen, they weren't ruling that out, and asked anybody with any info to step forward. Someone suggested that Mort had it, and that they had searched his home, workspace, and so on, and they couldn't find anything. But he's still a suspect. I don't know yet if this was their way of letting me off easy if I came forward, or if they really have no idea that I'm involved. But I'm not in trouble yet. A few of you mentioned that it wouldn't be hard for them just to Google Vitriol S16 and find this post and then trace me to it. Well, that's true. I don't think they've gotten that idea. Frankly, I don't think it'll occur to them to Google it anyway. I mean, they think this file is missing, maybe stolen. I doubt they would expect it to immediately go on the internet. However, they might Google it eventually, but it's too late now. This thing is called Vitriol S16, so that's what I'm calling it. Anyway, I'm sure plenty of you don't give a shit about my personal life, and are just here for the transcripts of the next few audio journals. I listened to a few last night and a few this evening, but I don't want to listen to any more, maybe at all. They're getting to be pretty serious, and pretty terrifying, and I'm feeling more and more nervous. I don't know. I'm not a believer of anything supernatural, and I'm beginning to think that Jerry here is just schizophrenic. But still, I'm feeling uneasy. Either way, here are the next couple transcripts. Entry 49, May 23rd, 2012. You remember that crazy dream I mentioned 2 months ago? With that tall guy with the greasy hair who vomited into me? Yeah, I had a follow-up to that last night. I started right onto the street this time, not in my room. I almost immediately knew what was coming, but it still scared shitless when I blinked and he was right in front of me. I stumbled back and I started screaming, but he raised a hand gently and I just kind of stopped. I hadn't meant to, I just did. He moved toward me, more gliding than walking, and put a hand on my face. Those long nails were freezing cold on my cheek. And then in the deepest, saddest voice that I'd ever heard, he said, "I'm sorry. You know what you must do." I blinked again and he was gone. I woke up a moment later. I don't freaking know what he meant when he said I knew what to do, but I sure as hell don't. I don't know, I'm delving into the deeper meanings of a nightmare. I must be going crazy. I've been on edge all of today, just like the last time that it had happened. And now, I know this is going to sound ridiculous, but I could swear I see this guy all around. Like in my peripherals, just standing in doorways, alleyways, stuff like that. But when I turn and I look right at him, he's gone. It must be my tired mind playing tricks on me. I haven't been sleeping all that well lately. Ben's keeping me up, of course. Maria lost her job at the newspaper place recently, and the workload at my office has been really stressful. I'll be good in a few days. I've got a few vacation days saved up and maybe I'll take those soon. Entry 50, July 31st, 2012. Things have been terrible lately. I lost my job at the office. Maria still hasn't found work and I don't know what's going to happen. We've got 3 mouths to feed now and our money is slowly dwindling away. I don't know how we're going to make rent next month and feed Ben. Maybe I'll go without dinner for a while. I'll figure it out. Entry 51, September 2nd, 2012. I had another dream with that guy again. It was even more vivid than the first. He appeared and told me again that I knew what to do, and then he disappeared. I woke up in a forest, standing over this dead woman. Her head was caved in, and I held a blood-soaked hammer in my hand. I freaked out. I started screaming, but after a moment, I stopped. And just like the last time, I had no idea why. God, it was so gross and so realistic. I got down on my hands and my knees and I started sucking the oozing blood and gray matter from her crushed head. I could taste it in my mouth. It tasted like metal, but also like, I want to say, rotten eggs. It smelled like it too. And then I woke up and I took a long shower. I was really freaking shaken by that dream. You would not believe it. I took the day off from work and I spent it with Maria and Benny. They calmed me down plenty. Entry 52, September 5th, 2012. I have not been feeling good lately. I must have eaten something that screwed with my stomach because it's been bothered all day. I puked one time and a lot of blood came up, so I went to the doctor. He said that I was fine, I just needed a rest. I feel like throwing up blood isn't just something that you should shrug off, but whatever. He'd know better than me. Entry 53, September 10th, 2012. Oh shit, I'm in bad trouble here. I was watching the news and they ran this story about how this woman, she was found dead in the forest preserve 30 miles from my apartment. Her head had been bashed in by a blunt instrument, and get this, her body was sucked dry of blood. This isn't good. I know that I couldn't have done that, but I had a dream about just that, right? Did I see somebody else doing it? How messed up is that? Jesus Christ, should I go to the police? No, I shouldn't. Because if I come to them with information like this, they'll think that I'm crazy and that I did it. I guess I just won't do anything for now. Oh Jesus, this is messing with my head. Am I going crazy? Entry 54, September 21st, 2012. The authorities haven't come up with anything concerning the dead woman. No DNA left behind, no murder weapon found anywhere. I don't know what to think. I still feel like I should go to the police, but there isn't a damn thing that they would do, other than get me thrown in jail. I guess I just gotta wait to see if any fingers are pointed. Entry 55, December 12th, 2012. Well, Maria went and finally said what I could tell she had been thinking for months. She wanted to break up, and 3 months before the wedding. Hell. She said that it's too stressful. She's still out of work and I've got a shitty job as a busboy at this restaurant. I've been bringing in just enough money to keep us afloat, but barely. Maria says that she wants to move in with her mom for a while. Fine, okay. But she wants to take Ben with her. Hell no, I said. You don't get to just take our kid. She had none of it though. Kept saying that there is nothing I could do, blah blah blah. I'm calling a lawyer tomorrow so we can get this sorted out. That bitch just can't take my son away from me. Entry 56, December 27th, 2012. This is really bad. I had another dream with that tall guy last night. He vomited in my mouth again, and then he said that same line about knowing what I had to do. From there, I blacked out and then I woke up at this bus stop in the middle of the city. I was sitting next to this kid. He couldn't have been more than 19 or 20. I remember I started talking to him, and he talked back, but everything that he said was so muffled, and I just couldn't understand it. After I said something, the kid chuckled and then he turned away from me. And then before I knew it, I had that same hammer in my hand as I did in the last dream, and I freaking crushed his skull. Last time, I came to after I killed the woman, but this time, I saw it happen. I saw myself do it. It was terrifying. His screams are so clear, unlike his words before. I could feel his blood fly into my arm, warm and wet. After he laid still on the ground, I got down and I sucked him dry, just like I did the woman. I woke up after that and I just felt awful. My head hurt and my stomach ached. It was horrible. But I shrugged it off and I went on with my day. I half expected a news report to show up. Entry 57, December 27th, 2012. I knew it. I freaking knew it. Here in the newspaper today, a man murdered in the middle of Chicago during the night. Deshaun Marcus, 21, was brutally murdered at a bus station around 2 a.m. last night. He was killed by blunt force trauma to the head, and then he was sucked dry of his blood. This attack is similar to the woman who was found in a forest preserve 50 miles away from Chicago last September. Not much is known yet, as no eyewitnesses have stepped forth, and security cameras were disrupted around the time of the murder. What the hell? How the hell did that happen again? It can't be me. I know for sure. Because Chicago is easily 100 miles away, and I don't have a car since Maria left. So there's no way that I could have gotten there and back in one night, even if I ran at full speed the whole way. There's just no way that it could have been me. I'm freaking seeing somebody else doing this, and I don't know how I can do anything about it. It sounds like the tall guy in Jerry's dreams wanted to show him murders for whatever reason. I don't get it. The tall guy was just showing Jerry the murders that the tall guy is committing. Why? At first I thought maybe Jerry throwing up blood was a sign that he had committed the murder and drank the blood. But the next murder taking place too far away from him made me think otherwise. I have no idea. And what the hell is it that Jerry must do? I looked over the transcripts in the previous post, but there wasn't anything in there that makes sense to me. I live too far away from where the murders take place, but I don't remember hearing any news reports about those murders. Granted, I don't watch the news or read the paper much, but you would think that I would have heard about it. I'm looking online for anything about it, but I haven't come up with anything. Oh well, that's it for now. I may or may not listen to more and transcribe them tonight, but I'm thinking that I won't. I have actual paperwork that Morris sent home with me, and I should probably get to that. If anybody has any insights or suggestions, please bring them up. Anything is helpful to make sense of this. I was at work today, about halfway through the day when two guys walked in. Black suits, sunglasses, things in their ear, whatever you call it. I saw them right away, and I was terrified. I was found out. I had to be. I tried not to look at them, but they didn't walk up to me. They went straight for Morris, and I was expecting a struggle, some shouting. But when Morris looked up from his desk and saw them, he got this look on his face. It was like resigned to his fate, I guess. He stood up and he walked out with the guys. He didn't come back in. A little later, very curious and nervous, I asked one of the higher-ups if Morris was here, since I had asked him a question about something. The guy told me that Morris had went home early, muttered something about his daughter giving birth, and here's the thing. Morris's car was still in the parking lot. I looked, and I know that it was his. There's no doubt about it. Shortly before the end of the day, those two guys pulled up in a car. It was a white Prius, I think. Not at all what you would expect from guys like that, huh? One got out and unlocked Morris's car, got in, and then they both drove away. I get the feeling that Morris isn't coming back. Against my better judgment, I listened to a few more audio journals. Yeah, I'm sure you're happy to hear about that. I've transcribed them, so here they are. Entry 58, February 15th, 2013. I've just been a mess lately. I can't stop crying, just all the damn day. I lost my job a week ago and I haven't been able to pull myself together and go look for a new one. I just don't have the motivation. I don't know. I've been thinking about just ending it and being done with it. I haven't seen Ben since Maria took him off in the middle of the night. And my lawyer is saying that there's nothing that I can do. Not until I pay him. What a prick. I don't know what I'm gonna do. Entry 59, March 9th, 2013. I've been having dreams about that freaking monster all week. That tall dude with the greasy hair. He keeps vomiting in my mouth, but he hasn't shown me anyone else killing people, so that's good at least. But he said something last night. Vitriol S16. No clue what the hell that is, but it stuck with me. He vomited in my mouth. It's smelling more like rotten eggs than ever, and then he just muttered, Vitriol S16. I haven't been able to get that out of my head all day. Entry 60, March 23rd, 2013. I've still been dreaming about that monster, who I've decided to start calling Vitriol, and he keeps saying that over and over. Vitriol S16. Vitriol S16. No idea what it means still, so I've decided that tomorrow, I'm gonna head down to the public library and try to figure out what it means. It'll give me something to do other than just getting drunk all day. Entry 61, March 24th, 2013. So I went to the library like I said I would, and I researched this Vitriol S16. Well, vitriol is another name for sulfur, which has the atomic symbol of S, and the atomic number of 16. Ergo vitriol S16. Sulfur. Sulfur also smells like rotten eggs, so that pulls the story even more together. His vomit smelled like rotten eggs, remember? I still don't know what this all means, but I'm starting to understand it a little more. I think, maybe, It still doesn't make any freaking sense though. Entry 62, June 1st, 2013. I've been having dreams every night for months about my old buddy Vitriol. Last night he showed me another murder. This time in what looked and felt like still really vivid, Florida. So I guess whoever's killing these people has gotten down there. Out of state at least. Without a doubt it couldn't be me. Because I woke up in my bed, refreshed and not at all groggy. No way I could have gotten down to Florida and back in one night. Entry 63, June 3rd, 2013. Yep, I was right. Florida, Orlando specifically. The authorities are saying that the person that was killing people in Illinois had moved on to Florida. So they're pretty much stopping the search in Illinois. Good news for me, I know I'm innocent, but it still scared me. Entry 64, July 17th, 2013. Vitriol had been showing me murders almost every night these days. And get this. The news reports are saying it's been happening all over the country. Massachusetts, Nebraska, Oregon, Alaska. Hell, even Hawaii. Vitriol must have a bunch of guys around. Because there's no way that one guy could be going all around the country in a few days. Even by plane. I've got more digging to do. Entry 65, October 6, 2013. So I've seen another death each night since my last entry. Every single time it's been with that same hammer. I can't believe that thing isn't broken yet. But I've been doing my own research lately. At the library in my town and a few around. I'm digging into some classified stuff. And I'm not too interested in the FBI knocking on my door. Vitriol S16 was a codename given to a series of murders that happened back in the 80s. Not as violent or as frequent as now, but still pretty bad. The army was finally called in to deal with the problem. They caught the guy pretty quickly after that. A guy named Vince Collar, and he was detained. During interrogations, he kept screaming about Vitriol S16. And some monster in the room with them that apparently only he could see. The final straw, if you could call it that, was when he was in the interrogation room one day. He had 2 cops, 3 FBI agents, and 2 armed guards in the room. The journalist who was recording the case was present and he stepped out for a minute. While he was out, he heard a lot of screaming and swearing coming from the room, followed by a few gunshots. When the journalist and a few guards got back into the room, they found all the officers in it completely torn to shreds. I guess you couldn't tell what color of the room was originally painted. It was so red with blood. The officers' organs and guts were all over the place. And if that wasn't bad enough, they had no idea how it happened because Vince was still handcuffed and shackled to his chair. Except his entire torso was ripped open. And he was bleeding profusely, obviously. He died a few minutes later, and that was basically the end of it. Like I said, all this stuff is classified. Blacklisted, I think is the right term. They put a black marker over most of the reports, and then shoved them away in a filing cabinet somewhere for a few decades. There's still more to do here. I'm sure shit not done yet. I would have listened to more, but I was tired when I was listening. Even more tired when I wrote them up, and I figured that it's a good stopping point. Almost like the end of a chapter in a book. So, what I'll say what I bet a bunch of you are thinking. What the hell? No, seriously. What's going on? Jerry talking about seeing murders that couldn't have been committed. I didn't hear about them. I bet you didn't, right? I mean, it's one thing if it happens and no one talks about it. But Jerry's hearing about it from the news, so how the hell is that possible? I've looked and looked online, but I found absolutely nothing about this. I'm thinking of maybe going to the library this weekend and looking for archived newspapers from these dates and seeing if they come up with anything. But I doubt that'll do anything for me. I'm digging into some real bad stuff here. I'll be honest, this may be the death of me. Hell, that's terrifying to acknowledge. But with what happened to Morris and Mort, there is no way I'm going to escape this unscathed. But I can't let it go. I can't shake the feeling that this is colossally important somehow. I mean, let's face it, Mort is probably dead. He knew that he was going to get killed over this, and I don't get the feeling that he gave me the file for the sole purpose of getting me killed along with him. I can't give this up until I know for sure why I have it, until I know what it means. This vitriol S16 business isn't dead until I am. On January 9th, I went to sleep at night after lying in bed and playing on Reddit on my phone for a while. When I woke up, it was January 11th. I lost an entire day. I don't know how to explain it. I was wearing the same clothes that I wore to sleep on the 9th. I wasn't at all hungry or thirsty, at least no more than normal. And even weirder, I didn't have any missed calls, texts, or anything from work. I'm not super important, but I'm not so disposable that no one would notice me not being there. When I went to work today, no one mentioned me being gone. In fact, my new supervisor, it seems like Morris is gone for good, didn't ask me anything about it. It was like I was there yesterday. I mean, I know sleepwalking is a thing, but sleepwalking for an entire day? Including driving a car, interacting with people, all that. No way, man. I know what you guys are probably thinking. The tall guys from the tape, or something else, took my place for the day. I don't think so. All my stuff is exactly as I had left it in my house. My workspace, my car, everything. I even checked with the security officer, who I'm sort of buddies with, for the security camera in the lobby at the time I normally come in. There was nothing that looked like me there. I was too afraid to flat out ask people if they had seen me yesterday. I mean, that's a weird question, right? And plus, I've been trying to keep a very low profile around work. Even one moment of suspicion could be the death of me, so I can't do anything slightly out of the ordinary. I'm worried about what all of this means, especially in light of the audio journals I've listened to and I've transcribed today. Oh well, I guess it's a mystery for another day. I have a feeling that I'll understand it by the end of this whole ordeal. Here are the next couple transcripts. Entry 66, November 29th, 2013. There have been so many murders that they're calling in the army again. Christ, it's like the last vitriol S16 30 years ago. They've got a nationwide manhunt on a guy, or guys who they've got no leads on. This isn't good. This is going to end like the last one, with all those people dying, and nothing else being known. Crap. Entry 67, December 24th, 2013. It's me. It's always been me. I've been killing all those people for a year. Last night, I couldn't fall asleep for the first time in a long time. I bought a laptop a little while ago and I've been doing some research on it. And last night I just didn't go to bed. I worked all through the night. So at like 2 in the morning, I heard this crazy noise, like a low growl, and my room was filled with this purple light. I turn around and there's Vitriol standing in my room, looming right over me. I stood up, ready to fight, and he grabbed my mouth and he vomited into it. All of a sudden, I was in this small town, a hammer in my hand, and I couldn't control my body as I crushed the skull of this girl who had to be like 15 at the most. I sucked out all of her blood. And after that, I was back in bed. Blood was on my lips and in my mouth, and my stomach hurt like hell. I checked my storage room, and my hammer was bloody and worn. How did I not notice this before? I saw my hammer every time I killed someone, and I never realized it. It's me. It's me, it's me. Vitriol's been transporting me all around the country, just killing people for a year. All those people. Tonight, I'm not gonna let it happen. I'm gonna fight him or die trying. I'm not killing anybody else. Entry 68, December 25th, 2013. I couldn't. Oh God, I couldn't stop it. He took me and I couldn't stop myself from killing another person. It was an old man, maybe 70, and he stayed alive a lot longer than the others. His skull was completely crushed in. His eyes were bursted out and his brain was just oozing out. And he was still begging for me to make it stop. Still crying for an Ellen. It must have been his wife. Or his daughter, I don't know. I need to go to the police. Turn myself in, tell them what's been happening. That it was me all along. Or maybe I should just end it. Then I won't be asked questions if I can't answer them. I don't know anything about vitriol, but they'll treat me like I do. I won't be able to get out of it. I'll figure this out. I have to. Entry 69, January 18th, 2014. I haven't been able to bring myself to the police. It's too tough, you know. I can kill all those innocent people, but I just can't do it. Damn it, Jerry, you're insane. Do something. Entry 70, February 20th, 2014. Last night, my victim last night was... Jesus, I can't believe I'm having such a hard time saying it. Last night, I killed Maria. My wife, my ex-wife. The one who stole my son from me. Who broke my heart. Yeah, she's dead now. And she was easy to kill. I actually enjoyed it. It's good to have her gone. I guess I should probably go try and see if I can get Ben back. Entry 71, March 2nd, 2014. I've kind of, I don't know, resigned myself to this life. Killing somebody every night. I've killed a few hundred people now, by my count. No point in stopping when you're ahead, right? I just wish I could kill Maria over and over. That was the happiest I've been in a long time. Entry 72, May 30th, 2014. Last night, I killed my boy. My baby boy Ben, who had just turned 2 last month. I wanted to stop, I really did. But I couldn't. I caved my beautiful boy's head in, and I ended him. What have I become? Entry 73, July 19th, 2014. They got me. Crap, they got me. Last night I killed someone and somebody else was able to get a picture of me on their phone. I can hear the helicopters outside. Wait, I think I hear boots on the stairs coming up. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Entry 74, July 24th, 2014. This is Detective Aiden Keller of the FBI. This seems to be the audio journal of Jerry Randall. He was accused of murdering around 400 people since the fall of 2012. We finally caught him a few days ago, after somebody got a picture of him mid-murder. No idea how no one had gotten a picture of him before, but oh well. We got him now. Just to get a full picture on things, we're going to record all interrogations, trials, and all that jazz in this audio journal. Keep things together for whatever we might need it for. Entry 75, July 26, 2014. So, Jerry, how did this all start, huh? Why did you kill all those people? What was your motivation? Go easy on him, Keller. This scumbag killed over 400 innocent people, and I want to know why. He doesn't get to be talked nicely to. Now, Jerry, tell us why you killed all those people. Vitriol made me do it. Vitriol? Who's Vitriol, an accomplice? He's a monster. Where is he? Look, Jerry, tell me where Vitriol is and we can make this easier on you. Giving up an accomplice can spare you from a long jail time. I promise you. Look at me, Jerry, look at me. Don't look at the wall, look at me. Jesus, Keller, calm down, okay? We're not getting anywhere with him right now. So let's take a break, okay? He's here, you know. Who is Jerry? Vitriol. He's here in this room. He's hallucinating. Get him back to his solitary cell. I don't want to see his face anymore today. None of this makes sense. Jerry says that they called in the army over these murders, but there were no murders. I mean, look at how much shit the news ran about Ebola, when that wasn't even a big deal in the United States. Could you imagine how loud news about murders like these would be? We would have never heard the end of it. I was willing to attribute all of the crap Jerry was spinning until a new person came in. This guy claims to be an FBI agent, and I don't have any reason so far to doubt that. So, if an FBI agent is confirming that these murders happened, I'm inclined to believe that they did, and that they were covered up. 400 murders were covered up, because that doesn't sound freaking insane. I don't know what to make of this. There's not many audio journals left. I'm terrified to listen to the rest of them. Terrified of what I might find, but I know that I have to. If nothing else, I need to give my own mind some rest. As always, if anybody can make sense of this at all, please say something. I guess to start, I called in sick for the day after I posted the last part. I didn't get anyone when I called, so I left a message. When I went in the next day, the entire building was deserted. I mean, our agency took up an entire 2-story building with a decent-sized warehouse, and when I got there, it was empty. The glass doors were damaged and the ground was all dusty. It was like we hadn't been in there in months. It looked like it was ransacked too. I was looking around for something, anything to give me an explanation, and I think I found a partial one. I have this weird habit of running my hands along walls while walking when I'm nervous, and let me tell you, I was nervous. Well, my hand was on a wall and I felt a bump. Upon inspecting it, it looked like this wall had several of these bumps. It looked like somebody had covered it up with, what is that called? Caulk. Like if you punched a hole in your wall, what you would use to cover that up. There were a bunch of these bumps, and when I sort of scratched away at them, I came up with several clusters of these holes. Now, I've never gone shooting in my life, but I bet you anything that these were bullet holes. And they sure as shit weren't there when I was working there. I checked the ground, which was carpeted with the classic jumble of colors design used in schools, offices, and so on. It was very faint, but I found dark patches, reddish brown like dried blood. And while it was definitely cleaned, it's hard to fully get blood out of carpet like this. So I'm pretty sure the higher-ups from my agency, or a different group altogether, came in and rounded up most of the people who worked here and shot the rest. Or they shot everybody, I don't know. The building is a little ways from any town, and pretty much out of the way of things. So I figured not too many people would have noticed this building being abandoned so quickly. I don't know. I think this has to be related to the missing file. I mean, it's extreme. But if this file is so important that they round up everybody and either kill them or lock them up since they can't find it. I went home, terrified, and I grabbed the files, an iPod, and all the stuff relating to Vitriol S16, as well as my laptop and a few personal things. And then I drove to a Starbucks a few towns over. I figured that it would be a good idea to be away from my house for a little bit. I was at the Starbucks for about an hour when I got a call from my buddy who also worked with me. He asked me if I was at work right now, and being a little paranoid, I said yes. He quietly said that there were a few guys in suits and a few guys in body armor with assault rifles furiously searching through his house, and they had asked him to call me and one other person, who had happened to have called in sick the same day as I did. Just to clarify, the guy who had called me had been out of work the same day as I was. I then heard a guy in the background shout something and the phone hung up. I drove sort of back towards home, threw my phone in a lake, and then I drove back the way that I came. Well, yeah, screw that. I'm not going home now. My grandparents had a cottage in northern Wisconsin that they sold several years ago, but I know for the fact that the people that own it now only go up there during the summer. And since that's the only place that I could think to go, my parents live across the country and I'm not involving them in this. And my brother is an asshole that I'd like to never see again. So I headed for there. It was about an 8-hour drive, and so I got there. Sort of broke into the cottage and I set up. It was pretty clear that the owners hadn't been there in a few years, since it was pretty dusty. Oh well. I've spent the day before yesterday settling in, getting groceries and that sort of stuff. I've got one of those burner phones that drug dealers use. Very white trash from a Verizon store, so I'm good with that. And then I drove about 11 hours into North Dakota, withdrew the contents of my bank accounts from a few different banks, and then drove back to Wisconsin. They're probably tracing my bank accounts, right? Using it in North Dakota should throw them off of my trail for a bit. Hopefully. Anyway, I'm not lying low. I'm sure most of you are mainly here for the transcripts. Good and bad news with that. I've got a few more written out, but the bad news is that these are the last ones. This nightmare might be over pretty soon. Anyway, here they are. Entry 76, August 2nd, 2014. We've gotten nowhere with Jerry yet. He's not talking about the murders, he just keeps saying, he's here, he's here. Vitriol's here. Vitriol's another name for sulfurate. Yeah, that's been brought up, but what does it mean? I don't know. Let's go talk to the guy again. Maybe we can get somewhere today. Yeah, like that'll happen. Entry 77, August 2nd, 2014. Jerry, can you tell us how this all happened? Starting at the beginning. Come on, you can talk to us. Look, you're gonna go to jail, that much is clear. There's plenty of evidence, but if you talk to me, tell me some things about what had happened, I can probably keep you off of death row. It doesn't matter. I want to die. Well then, before you do, why don't you tell us what had happened, so we can give all those families closure. Tell them why you did it, and they can move on. He won't let you. Who? Vitriol. Damn it, alright Raglan. Figure out what the hell this vitriol is, okay? I told you, it's clearly that's not what he's talking about, so figure out what he is talking about. Yes, sir. Now, Jerry, can you please talk to me here? About anything other than this vitriol. That's all there is to talk about, officer. Vitriol caused this. He made me do this. There's nothing else to know. Fine, you know what? I'm done with you. We've got your audio journals here. We can figure out all we need to know once we get the warrant to listen to it. You can rot in solitary for all I care. Entry 78, August 27th, 2014. Well, I got a lead on this vitriol part of things, Keller. Vitriol S16, which in every way refers to sulfur, was the codename given to a string of murders back in the 80s. What do you mean, refers to sulfur in every way? Well, vitriol is another name for sulfur. S is the atomic symbol for sulfur, and 16 is the atomic number. What connection does that have to the murders? Well, we're not sure. The murderer back in the 80s, Vince Collar, he kept saying vitriol S16 over and over during his interrogations. And he had dreams of some weird thing that he claimed made him kill people. And that thing said vitriol S16 a lot. But why that connects to sulfur, I have no idea, sir. Well, it's something. We'll have the warrant to listen to this whole journal soon, so we'll see if Jerry had any of the same kinds of experiences. Entry 79, September 4th, 2014. Well, Jerry, we listened to your audio journals. Boy, that's some messed up stuff, huh? Keller. Who is Vitriol, Jerry? Is he a figment of your imagination? Is he something you saw in a movie and just attribute to your mindless killings, huh? He's all there is. What do you mean by that, huh, Jerry? What do you mean? Vitriol is all there is, and soon, he'll be all that's left. You're not making any sense here, buddy. So why don't you... Oh, Jesus, you smell that, Ragland? Yeah, it smells like rotten eggs. Where the hell is that coming from? Hey, Wally, you eat egg salad again today? Focus, Keller. Yeah, so... You okay, Jerry? You look really pale. Oh God, get somebody in here to clean that up. Jesus, that doesn't look like normal vomit. It's yellow and bloody and I can see it, Raglan. Where's the cleanup crew? Entry 80, October 16th, 2014. We've made absolutely no headway with Jerry yet, and we've had him in custody for almost a few months now. I'm beginning to think that we should just give up, sentence the freak and get him to the chair. Screw the families that want closure. It ain't worth dealing with this guy. Jerry just stares off during interrogations, looking at some corner of the room. He vomited this thick, chunky yellow stuff every interview, just like what he described in his dreams with vitriol. And every time without fail, the room smells just like rotten eggs just before he horks. I'm getting real close to giving up here. Entry 81, November 9th, 2014. Jerry, I'm getting real sick of you, you know that? Real sick of your Vol of Silence shit. You better start talking to me soon or I'll just throw you in jail, and tell them to throw away the key. So if you ever want to have a freaking chance of ever seeing the sunlight again, you better start talking now. I don't think he's gonna talk, Keller. No, he's not. He's just gonna stare right into that corner and, oh gosh, there's the eggs right on cue. Can we get a cleanup crew on standby here? God, where does that smell come from? It's gotta be that puke right there, Raglan. But we can smell it before it comes up. I don't know, Raglan. I don't know all the secrets of the universe. All I know is that we need this gosh dang cleanup crew here right now. I don't want to keep smelling that. Entry 82, December 13th, 2014. Hey everybody, this is Julia Moore, reporter for the New York Times. I've been sent to cover the story of Jerry Randall, the infamous murderer who had killed over 400 people in the span of 3 years. The FBI gave me access to Jerry's audio journal to get the full story, but they have to read over my story and censor out the sensitive stuff. I have listened to all of this and it's messed up, plain and simple. This isn't exactly a story I'm going to enjoy researching, but I'll push on through. I'm just wondering what comes next. Entry 83, December 17th, 2014. Talk to me today, Jerry. It's almost Christmas, and I'd be absolutely ecstatic if I didn't have to come in that. So let's make some headway today, huh? Maybe if you tried a nicer approach. With all due respect, Mrs. Moore, we allowed you to sit in on this interrogation on the condition that you didn't talk, just observed. You're not a trained professional, so we can't have you possibly screwing it up, okay? Sure, just making a comment. Jerry, this is getting old. At least look at me when you're ignoring me, huh? That'd be a nice change of pace. That could be your Christmas present to me. You wouldn't have to give me that Rolex that I wanted. You're not going to live until Christmas, Officer Keller. Now, Jerry, we have to treat that as a threat. And a threat on the life of an FBI officer is a very serious crime, even if you don't go through with it. I'm not going to kill you. Vitriol is. God damn, it's alright, Jerry. Vitriol is gonna kill me. Sure, I'm done with you, okay? Wait. What, Jerry? What is it now? I want you to stay. Are you gonna talk? No. Then why in the world should I stay? So you can die. Alright, I'm done with this shit, okay? Get somebody else on this case. I'm done with this psychopath. Julia, are you okay? Jesus Christ, get a doctor in here. Holy crap, her throat is ripped open. Oh, Jerry, what's happening? Vitriol's doing what needs to be done. You're crazy, Jerry, you... Keller! My freaking heart's out of my chest, Jesus. Get a doctor in it. No. Vitriol has done what must be done. Bring me purity, Vitriol. Bring me purity. And that's all of the audio journals. That's the final entry on the iPod. And after looking at the iPod some more, I couldn't find anything else. I think that's all I'm gonna get from it. Hell, that's probably all I'm going to get, period. I know a bunch of stories on here have the right to go and discover more, but honestly, I'm not brave enough for that. I was a glorified paper pusher, planning to work in a police station doing file work. I wasn't brave enough to even be a police officer, so I'm sure as hell not brave enough to dig deeper into this. This might be it. I don't really have anything left to talk about, unless more stuff happens in my life. I'm planning to stay in Wisconsin for a while. If anything else falls into my lap that's relevant, I'll bring it up, so keep an eye out for it. But until then, that's all I've got. Alright, well, I'm screwed. I don't really have any other way to put it. I'm done. The night after I posted the last update, I woke up in the middle of the night. The cottage that I'm hiding out in is normally pitch black at night, since the electricity here is weak, so I have to conserve it. But tonight, there is a bit of a bluish-white light coming from another room. You want to know what else? I didn't register it immediately, but there was a sound since the moment I awoke. Once I was aware of it, it took me a moment to recognize it. But throughout the cottage, Claire de Lune was playing. There wasn't one specific spot that it was coming from. My crappy phone wasn't playing it, and it wasn't coming from my laptop. It wasn't coming from outside. It was just there, like the air, I guess. I got up from bed, not sure if I was dreaming or not, but I felt terrified. The bedroom door was open, which was weird, since I always closed it. And I realized that the blue-white light was coming from another room. The cottage was laid on so the main bedroom opened up into the living room, which was connected to the kitchen without any walls separating. The source of the light was on the kitchen table. I went over to it and I saw that it was the iPod. It was on and unlocked. The app with the audio journals was open. However, when I went to lock it, I immediately felt like something was off. Looking at it, the last journal I transcribed, entry 82, December 13th, 2014, was no longer at the bottom. And now there was another audio journal. At this point, Claire de Lune was still playing, and while it's beautiful, it was making me sick to my stomach. I knew right away that I should ignore the audio file, but I couldn't. Before I realized it, I tapped on it. The moment I touched it, the music stopped. I thought for a moment nothing would happen, but out of nowhere, a ton of voices started whispering, speaking and screaming all at once. There were male voices, female, children, and all sorts of accents. As you would expect, I couldn't make out what any of the voices were saying, but slowly I did. Every voice, every single one was saying Vitriol S16, over and over again. It was deafening. Slowly they all began to speak in unison, over and over, Then just as instantly as it began, it stopped. There was a period of silence. I don't know how long. It might have been a minute, maybe an hour, maybe a couple of seconds. The audiophile player on this one didn't have any time indicators on it, so I had no idea how long it had been playing at this point. And then I heard a deafening noise from outside of the cottage. It was something like a man screaming, but really deep and growing. Like it started quiet, and then grew louder and louder. It shook the cottage, and I had no idea what to do. And then while this screaming was happening, I heard more voices. I could barely hear them, since this noise outside was so loud, but I could hear it. Some things I made out were, "Vitriol, S16. I'm sorry. You know what you must do. All will burn to him and rot away. All will die." This felt like it went on forever, so I had plenty of time to figure out what was being said. I'm sure that there's a ton that I missed and couldn't make out. And then it all stopped at once. And the next thing I know, I wake up and it's the morning. I lost 4 days and I don't know what to think of it at all. I looked back at the iPod and the previous audio file is still there. But when I played it, it was just silence. Not even a bit of static or feedback. No noise at all. I don't know what to do. I'm seriously screwed and there's no denying that. It might not happen today, but I'm seriously done. I don't know what the hell I'm gonna do. This is the last that you'll hear from me, but I do have a bit to say still. In the few days since I posted, I've been seeing the tall guy everywhere. I drive to the grocery store and he's on the side of the road. I take a quick walk around the lake and he's standing on the other side staring at me. I'm pretty sure I've noticed him looking in through my windows at night. At first I was terrified, not knowing what he wanted. Not for sure now though, I'm not scared at all. Vitriol is standing behind me as I type this, and I'm not scared. Yesterday they finally caught up to me, the government. I'm not sure how they did it, if they found these posts or if they tracked my car, or if they just happened to find me, but they did. I was eating at a local diner when I noticed a few guys at a table a little ways away. I tried to be conspicuous and glance at them, and I caught them looking at me a few times. One still had his coat on, and I saw a small holster under his arm. I knew that these guys meant business. When I left the diner, they followed me. I parked behind the building so no one was around. One of the guys pulled out a badge, while the other 3 pulled out guns and aimed them at me. And they said that I was under arrest for treason. Right as one went to handcuff me, I noticed Vitriol standing a ways behind me, at the tree line across the road. I blinked and Vitriol was there. He slaughtered the 3 men, and they did something. It's hard to explain, but he touched the 3 corpses and they sort of faded away. They were gone. No blood, a viscera, bits of clothing, nothing. Any trace of them at all was gone. Next thing I knew, I was back in the cottage on the couch. Vitriol stood across the room from me, and then he showed me all that I needed to know. Now this was all shown to me through my mind, I guess, and it was all visuals, no words. So this is my understanding of it as best as I can convey. The world is coming to an end. Vitriol showed me barren lands, rivers of burning acid, the sky raining fire, your typical doomsday stuff. He showed me people, men, women, and children burning, starving, and rotting away. It was horrific. The sky and air was yellow with sulfur, fumes, and poisonous gases. And then Vitriol showed me this massive, I want to say machine, but it looked ancient. Huge pillars of black, twisted metal rose far from the ground. There were bits of moving metal, pillars, and pikes, and at the heart of this machine was a huge ball of fire. But at the heart of it was pure black. In ways I can't really put into words, Vitriol showed me that this machine was built by beings that ruled the earth long before humans did. These beings sought to slumber eternally, but if they were awakened, wanted to bring about the destruction of all creation. This machine was made for that end. And this machine was powered by souls, or life force or something. Basically the essence of humans. You know all that shit about human sacrifices to appease the gods? Well, that's where this comes from. This doomsday machine to bring about the end of days is powered by the death of sentient beings. As you've probably gotten at this point, these ancient beings have awakened and they want all of this destroyed. Vitriol is a messenger of sorts for these beings. He conveyed to me that he was something like the representative of poison, rot, and things related to that. For whatever reason, Vitriol himself couldn't take the lives needed to power the machine. I asked him why, but he didn't answer. All the lives that Vince Collar took in the 80s and that Jerry Randall took in the last couple of years are all to power this machine. Here's the thing. I'm not sure if the visions of sulfur and destruction that Vitriol showed me are to be the results of this machine. It might be what to occur if this machine stays dormant. This was neither confirmed or denied by Vitriol. But I think this machine might be the quick, painless end rather than the horrible end. The quick bullet to the head instead of the bullet to the stomach, and that gets infected and eaten by maggots. As for me, Vitriol hasn't said so, but it's clear that I'm to go with him. Where I don't know, but I'll be gone. The windows of my cottage are cloaked in pure black. I'm not sure if this post is going to go through. I'm not even sure if I'm still on Earth, or in the same, I don't know, dimension or plane I was in yesterday. I'm not sure what else there is to say. I guess nothing. For anyone who's been with me from the start, thank you. At least somebody will know what's coming.